Hi, this is Lisa Matthews from Positive Practice Training and Behavior Consulting, and today we're going to talk a little bit about resource guarding. So we were called out to a case of a dog staying in a kennel. The trainer, who is also the kennel manager, was having a bit of trouble, and this is how it unfolded.
He's a good boy. Are you? Wait, see, he's going to move this way, right at the fence. But it's not even the bowl.
Resource guarding is about dogs protecting something they value, something they don't either want to share or something they don't want to lose. They feel protective about this against other dogs and people. And it's normal and it's natural, but it becomes a concern when they start wanting to hurt dogs or people. This dog was in boarding, and they started having a lot of trouble feeding him, and they weren't sure what was going on with him, whether he was protective of the entire kennel, was he protective of his food bowl, of his water dish. But I'm showing this to you, and I'm showing this to you in slow motion. This dog spent about 2 months in boarding at a kennel. He was part of an adoption program, and there was no place to put him, so boarding was kind enough to take him in. And then as this behavior started to emerge, he really wasn't popular to go into a foster home until we worked on this behavior. So I was called out, and before I got there, the kennel manager, who's also a trainer, filmed this so that we could take a look at what's going on. So what you don't see is the kennel manager just walked up and held his hand out to the dog, and that triggered the aggression. And so the trainer approaches again. This time, the dog is really watching those hands. As he goes down, the dog kind of focuses on the downward because this is typical of the behavior when the trainer approaches with food. And doesn't have any food, so the dog is like, okay, this is strange. We're down here a long time. I'm getting stressed. The body's very stiff. He starts to retract back a little bit, but look at those teeth. He's going to show you all those teeth. Look at those. Oh, those are nice pearlies. As those lips retract back in a much more stressed position. The guy helps him out by leaving, not intentionally. He's telling us, see, the dog doesn't have a problem when I don't stick my hand out, but the dog clearly does still have a problem. And that's part of the whole issue here is a lot of times people don't recognize the inappropriate the signals. So the hand comes back in, it seems like forever because we have it slowed down, the mouth closes, that's precursory to this is what's going to happen next, goes into barking, lunging, snapping. So, here we have a clear pattern of behavior and all triggered by that hand coming out. And that is really something that we're going to have to work on with this dog is approaching this dog, sticking hands out. Because can you imagine if this doesn't get worked on and this dog is adopted out and we think it's only just around the food bowl, we only work around the food bowl and we don't take care of the behavior that has been generalized out to just regular situations now of people sticking hands out and hands going limp and staying there like floppy noodles, as we often do when we stick them out to let dogs smell us, that's going to be a really big problem. Look at him watching those hands. Isn't he telling us an amazing story about what he doesn't like and what concerns him? Dogs are always talking to us. They're always telling us a story with their bodies. We have to start listening. And so what you've seen first is the generalized behavior, but this is how it all began. So trainer puts in food, hangs around, dog's not comfortable. There's a whale eye like, get away. I'm not comfortable with you here. I'm not even going to eat my food with you standing here. I'm so uncomfortable. And so the trainer is saying to us, see, there's nothing wrong. Nothing happens when I just stand here. But in fact, there is something happening. The dog isn't eating. And believe me, that dog wants that food. But the trainer is presenting himself like he's resource guarding. So the dog is kind of like, all right, I'm not going to eat it if you're standing there staring. But boy, go for it with that hand. And I'll tell you a different story. So, we see this is how the behavior started, right? Over the food bowl. But look how it generalized, because before the footage you were looking for, there wasn't a food bowl in there. So to test this, what we did is to make sure, was it just the food bowl? Was it generalized into other areas? We removed the dog from the kennel completely, took all the resources out, took him out of the environment. And we did the same behavior with him tethered, so he couldn't reach us, and started that reaching thing. And sure enough, still had a problem with that. So we were pretty sure, yeah, it's generalized outside of the area. And outside of this whole situation. And that's super dangerous. So the way that we addressed this issue with this dog in the kennel is we did a lot of hand reaching work with this dog and made hands coming out and reaching be a very positive experience. We asked the dog to wait longer and longer with hands out for rewards over time so that the whole limp wet noodle scenario would sort of deteriorate, and it worked beautifully. We also taught the dog to target a certain location in the kennel and hold a sit stay while we came in and out and either put the food down or took the food out, and it worked wonderfully. Later, this dog did go to a foster home. We paid another visit to the foster home because we wanted to be sure that the same instructions would be carried out about the way to work with this dog so as to not have this behavior resurface. It went great. And then upon adoption, we were hired again to go into the home just to be sure that the adoptive parents were well aware of how to do this protocol with the dog so that there wouldn't be any more problems. And it really was successful because we went out to all those situations and made sure that this dog had consistent follow through. Because you can imagine this behavior could resurface at any time if people start making this dog believe they are a threat. And so that was the important part of the training, was to teach not only the dogs, but the people.